So Aaron Rodgers, broken collarbone. He's broken it before the other one. He goes down. My first thought is, do we have our next Tony Romo? He's not a real big guy. He's 6'2", barely. He's 220 pounds. Second time a collarbone being broken. He is a guy that has had average to good to not so good offensive lines. They never have a running back. The team depends on him. God, it sounds like Tony Romo, does it not? And I'm hearing everybody say that now he's gone, go get Tony Romo. I got this well-sourced, folks. Tony Romo's not going back to the NFL. He knows he's making a fortune with CBS. He's better than I thought he would be as a broadcaster. Tony Romo told people at the agency which represents him 6 months ago, if I leave, Peyton Manning will step in and get that job. I know it, you know it. Why go have a 300-pounder land on me? Tony Romo's not going back to the NFL. Brett Favre is not going back to the NFL. And the Patriots are not trading Jimmy Garoppolo. Season over for Green Bay, and it should not be, really. But they have not surrounded Aaron Rodgers with talent, and this has been my primary complaint the last several years. Chicago's got a rookie quarterback. Detroit, and Minnesota's on their third quarterback, and yet the season is over for Green Bay, and it should not be. And I'm hearing everybody say, Hey, you can't give up on the season. You got to go give up blank to get blank at quarterback. What? This roster's not good enough to give up anything. You do not give up draft picks. You do not give up players. Okay, it made sense last year for Minnesota when they lost Teddy Bridgewater because they had a running game and they had a great defense and they've got a better roster and they have for years, even with Bradford banged up, even with Case Keenum, they're able to win games. You're going to see how average the surrounding cast is for Green Bay. Oh, but they have Jordy Nelson, who's always dinged up. And by the way, I don't know if it's bratwurst and cheese. Maybe that makes you injury prone. But once again, Green Bay's limping roster had 6 injuries yesterday. 3 corners got hurt, a safety and both tackles. Maybe it's the bratwurst. I can't figure it out. Or the domestic beer. No idea. But again, this is why I've been preaching. You do not go from Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's like going from Kobe to LeBron. That's like going from MJ to Kobe. You never get great players after great players. Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning virtually never happens. So you owe it to Aaron Rodgers to get him a defense. Yes, if I was a team like Philly, Carolina, Houston, Kansas City, Denver, Minnesota, where I love the roster, where I thought, you know what, I'm going to give up a draft pick or our third best corner to bring in a quarterback that can win games like Sam Bradford. Again, Philly's got a loaded roster. So does Kansas City. So does Houston. I like Carolina's roster. I like Denver's roster, despite what you saw last night. But if there was an expansion draft, we saw one of these in the NFL this year, where you can protect your roster. They did this in hockey. Whenever there's an expansion team, they have an expansion draft where you can protect some of your players and not other players to allow the expansion team to go to every team and pick players. If you had an expansion draft, who would anybody want from the Packers outside of wide receiver Devontae Adams, young corner Kevin King, Clinton Dix at safety, and Mike Daniels? 4 guys anybody would want. That's it on the entire roster. And this shouldn't be season over. Chicago's got a rookie quarterback. Detroit's Detroit. And Minnesota's on Case Keenum. This should not be a death sentence. It shouldn't be. We've seen Houston get into the playoffs without a quarterback, without anybody. This shouldn't be the end of the season. But Green Bay can't afford to trade anybody or give up draft picks because they don't have that much talent and they're not an attractive free agent market. I mean, if you look at the NFC right now, it's very interesting. Post Aaron Rodgers injury, it is wide open. My 6 teams, Eagles, Panthers, Rams, Vikings, Seahawks, then Redskins, Cowboys. That's how I see the NFC right now. And I could have made an argument. Green Bay was at the very top of it. But they weren't at the top of it because they had a good roster. They had depth. They had great pass rushers. They had a formidable running game. They were at the top because of one guy, Aaron Rodgers. And now he's got a second collarbone break. And now you'll wonder, is he the next Tony Romo? A guy that's career will be shortened, who had to carry his franchise for too many years, is going to become more injury prone, and you're going to have wasted the greatest quarterback talent many people believe, outside of John Elway, we've ever seen. All right, let me segue to this. occasionally, 3 or 4 times a year, I speak to young broadcasters or a college class or a high school class. And, you do it. They call, hey, would you speak to this young college class or high school class or these young broadcasters? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So you go in and you talk to them. And, I'll talk for 30 minutes, take a bunch of questions. It's always fun. It's just always fun. And the one thing I always tell all broadcasters, do your homework, have strong opinions, and do not back down. Because social media makes you feel guilty. And I said, if you did your homework, there's no reason to back down. You back down if you didn't do your homework. But if you did your homework, little data, looked up things, have a theory, don't back down. You'll be seen as controversial, but you won't be controversial. You'll just be right. And after the Super Bowl year, Matt Ryan had, everybody said, oh, Colin, he is elite. And I said, no, he's not. I said he's closer to Andy Dalton than Aaron Rodgers, though I think he is better than Andy Dalton. But last year, he had a perfect coordinator. The division went into the tank. And all of a sudden, it was story after story and Twitter after Twitter and proclamation after proclamation that Matt Ryan is great. And I said, no, he's not. He's good. And with the right people, he can have a great year. So let's check in on Matt Ryan's year and Andy Dalton to see how dissimilar they are. Oh, wait. Virtually the same quarterback. Look at the passer rating, completion percentage, passing yards, touchdown, interception. Interesting, isn't it? You're stubborn if you don't back down, if you're wrong and don't do your homework. You do it. Matt Ryan, 10 years in the NFL. One perfect year with a great offensive coordinator, a healthy team, and the division went into the tank in a weaker schedule. By the way, if you take out the one great year from Matt Ryan, do you know what he averages per game in his NFL career? 1.5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 260 yards, and a passer rating of 90. Welcome to Andy Dalton in a dome. Stubborn is not backing down when you're wrong. Weak broadcasting is backing down when you're right. By the way, Matt Ryan's got 5 blown 17-point leads. Since he came into the league, that leads the NFL. And I'm not counting the Super Bowl collapse. Matt Ryan's fine. He's a franchise quarterback. Arm average. Feet average. Build average. Late games average. Again, I'm not anti-anything. But if you look at his numbers, he's had the benefit of playing in a dome. He's always had above-average wide receivers. He's generally, because of his defensive coaches, had better-than-average defenses, and that division is not necessarily always well-funded or well-run. The Saints can be dysfunctional. For years, Tampa was dysfunctional. In Carolina, meh, up, down, top, bottom, good, not good. I'm not anti-Matt Ryan. I'm pro-data. Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. He is a B quarterback who had an A year. Just like I said, a realtor can be a B realtor, but 1 year sell a mansion because their parents knew a guy who knew a guy and they got in and sold a mansion. Doesn't make you a great realtor. Makes you a good realtor who had a great year. Matt Ryan's good, but I'll say it again and won't back down. His career tells you he is closer to Andy Dalton, though better, than he is to Tom Brady. And for the last year, you've been telling me the opposite.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.